time, please give it up for Val Gee.
So, when I was a young girl, I thought I was a man. Yes, I did. And here's why. There was no sex education at that time. This is the early 50s. Not at the house, not at the school. There weren't any dirty magazines around the house. Our friends didn't talk sex, so I had no idea what was going on. And my family also were very prim and proper. We were Methodists and we went to chapel every Sunday. Not that I've got anything against any Methodists, please. But we went to chapel every Sunday, and my grandma actually played the church organ there, which I think was perhaps the only time she actually did play with an organ, but never mind. And I think that they probably made love through a hole in a bedsheet, but that's another story. So there I am. And my mum was really ill, so there wasn't even a story about the birds and the bees, you know. It was very prim proper. Stiff upper lip, here it is. Anyway, so my mum died when I was 11. It was very sad. And my dad came to me and he said, Val, you need to be a brave soldier, which to me translated to, you have to be a man. So there I am, this little girl, I have to be a man. And he got remarried to Nora. Now, was the typical wicked stepmother, sorry to any stepmother, but she was, and we hated each other. And she put a bowl on my head and cut my hair, so I looked like a little page boy, and bought me these horrible brown brogues, which is a really manly shoe for a little kid, you know. And there was also this stepsister who was 5 years older than me, who did not want to come and live with us because she would have to share my bedroom. So Nora had a fabulous idea. She got a carpenter, and the carpenter came along, and he put this huge velvet curtain, floor to ceiling, right down the middle of the bedroom. And one side was beautiful velvet, and the other side was curtain lining, beige, you know, and I know, it's so sad, this story, but anyway, it does get better at the end. But anyway, I've got the, you know, obviously I've got the felt, the curtain lining, and Pat has the beautiful velvet, plus a window. So when she went out, I would peek behind, and her side was frills and perfume and nail polish and heels, and then I would retreat back to my little man cave and just kind of, you know, sit there. So one day Nora said, you know, Val, you seem really miserable, what's wrong? And I said, well, I think I'm a man. So, I know. So there we are in the hallway, front door, doors and everything. And she said, you know, sit down on the stair. And I'm sitting on the stair and take my knickers down around my ankles. And she gets a flashlight. And now she's, you know, looking down and like, I know. No, you're not a man. But that was it. There was no kind of like, why did you think that? Or this is what a woman is. Or no, it was like, I didn't trust her. I went away from that thinking, no, I'm obviously still a man. So anyway, now I'm a young teenager, and my best friend is going out with Jeff, my now husband's best friend. And they think, let's double date. So we're like, okay. We decided to go to Blackpool, which is Britain's poor Las Vegas, actually. And Jeff borrowed a minivan from his boss. Now, this is not like a minivan that you see over here, big minivan. No, this is like a tiny little mini with the sides are covered in, 2 front seats, and just tin, basically, in the back with a blanket, you know. So off we go to Blackpool, and we're sitting in the front, and we park the car, and I think the 4 of us are going to get out and have a walk along the promenade, but my 2 friends, they stay in the back, and Jeff and I get out, and he's desperately trying to hold my hands, and I'm kind of all giggly and, you know, kind of acting weird. And we go back to the van, which by this time is rocking like crazy. And little naive me goes to open the door and just like, no, don't. Let's go get some fish and chips. So off we go, get fish and chips. We get back to the van. It's now not rocking, which is great. So we go home, to find my father standing at the front gate like a sergeant major, you know, making sure I haven't been touched in any way. So you can see the picture here. It's pretty tragic, really. Anyway, amazingly, Jeff continues to date me, and so we date, and he borrows his boss's van one night, and there we are sitting in the front of the van, and we're getting to third base, and I'm thinking, Jesus, you know, I've got to tell him, I've got to tell him. So I said, Jeff, I think I'm a man. Now, to his credit, I think anyone else at that point would have just run away or, you know, drop, I don't know, boot kicking me out of the car or something. But he'd been in the Boy Scouts, and their motto is be prepared. So he reaches into the glove compartment and gets one of those, like, camping lights out, you know. So once again, I'm sitting down, knickers round my ankles, and now he's having a good old look. For a long time. Finally, his head comes up and it's like, no, you're absolutely not a man. You're a woman, you're perfectly normal. And I trusted him. I thought, okay, so we continued to date and we had sex and made love, and everything was fabulous, except my home life was awful. We all hated each other. So I left home at 16, went to work in Italy for a couple of years. And Jeff, meanwhile, he left home and he went to work in Scandinavia, and we didn't actually communicate during that time. And when I was in my late teens, I came back home to Manchester, and lo and behold, my dad and my stepmother had already divorced, and Pat had gone, and I had a whole room back to myself, which was wonderful. But there was another woman there. He had got another girlfriend, my dad, and this time, I mean, she blew my mind. She was like a Kardashian. She was fantastic. I mean, she was everything that you would want a woman to be. And we were just introduced, and the phone rang, and it was my best friend, and she said, guess who's in town? I said, who? She said, Jeff Gee. Where is he? He's at the Cock, which was the Cock Hotel, or bar, aptly named the Cock. Anyway, Barbara, the new woman who would become my next stepmother, I think she saw that I was probably going to be trouble, so she helped me dress up, and she sprayed me with Femme. I still remember the perfume. It's a French perfume, and she sprayed me all over, and I go to the Cock, and I see Jeff, and he's across the bar, and our eyes meet, and we fall madly in love again, and we date, and we get married, and then we have 2 gorgeous girls, and I'm at home. I'm a stay-at-home mom, and I'm thinking, I don't know if I really like this being a woman, you know. I'm kind of at home, and I'm cleaning and cooking and doing the laundry, and it felt like Jeff would put his suit on in the morning and kind of fly out of the house, you know, as a man. And so anyway, and I'm reading Germaine Greer, which is the who is it, Glorious Diamond of Australia. Anyway, I'm reading that book, and I'm getting, you know, more and more confused about this woman thing. I don't like it. Anyway, fortunately for me, we moved to America, and it's now the early 80s, and I get a job at Pitney Bowes as a salesperson. And but again, I'm kind of wearing this weird suit, you know, with shoulders and a bow tie, and so now I'm like a man and a woman, and I don't know what the fuck to do, you know. But I do win presidents, you know. I'm a great salesperson, but I'm still doing the cooking and the cleaning and the laundry when I get home, you know, and looking after the girls, and it's all so confusing to me. So I've decided, I mean, I'm now 73, nearly 74, and I've decided that it doesn't really matter, man, woman, I'm just going to be a fucking great human being. Yeah!